This is National Native News. I'm Antonia Gonzalez. The Great Plains Tribal Chairmen's Association is calling on the Trump administration to remove Tara Sweeney as U.S. Assistant Secretary for Indian Affairs. The group sent a letter to Trump administration officials last week accusing Sweeney of seeking to divert emergency tribal COVID-19 aid to Alaska Native corporations. Cheyenne River Sioux Tribal Chairman Harold Fraser chairs the Great Plains Chairmen's Association. He says this is not the first time Great Plains leaders have felt slighted by the Assistant Secretary. Fraser says he made a motion in November to call for her removal after a lack of consultation with the Bureau of Indian Affairs.
I just feel that, she just isn't really looking out for Indian country or any of the people that live in Indian country. To me, it just appears that, we're just a number, and we are human beings, and we deserve every right to be treated as such, and at least that potential that somebody's looking out for us, and I just feel that she's not taking the interest of Indian people.
A statement to National Native News from the Department of the Interior reads, Assistant Secretary Sweeney is committed to supporting all American Indians and Alaska Natives, and to suggest she has personal motives or that she's attempting to divert funds away from American Indians is completely false. The statement goes on to say, it's unfortunate that during a time of historic appropriations for the Native American community, some are seeking to divide the community and are suggesting to ignore the mandate of Congress and exclude eligible entities as defined by law. Meanwhile, the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe is filing an injunction against the Department of Treasury and Interior Department over the $8 billion in COVID-19 relief aid set aside for tribes in the CARES Act. A Rapid City, South Dakota organization is supporting Indigenous communities during the COVID-19 pandemic with medical supplies, food, elder care, and other aid. Indian Collective has raised more than $3 million, as China Lockett reports.
NDN Collective was started a few years ago to support Indigenous leaders and efforts. Now, they've changed their focus to funding pandemic relief. Nick Tilson is the president.
Less than 0.5% of all philanthropy in America goes to Native communities. And this is an issue the Indian Collective has been trying to address since our creation a couple years ago.
Tilson says there is federal aid for tribes and Indigenous communities, but the money isn't coming in quick enough, which can be dangerous. He says since many Indigenous communities are already underinvested, this can put more stress on first responders, emergency management, and individuals.
And so this is designed to provide gap funding, immediate support to those organizations and tribes and communities out there that are providing direct and essential services to their community.
That includes tribal healthcare systems, nonprofits, businesses, and grassroots efforts. Tilson says their priority is getting protective gear and essential material to communities on lockdown.
Along with additional medical equipment, additional food and supplies for young people that are in the Indian welfare system, supporting some of the elderly care facilities and veteran facilities that are out there.
Nick Tilson says the collective has built relationships with philanthropic institutions over the years that help them raise money for pandemic response quickly.
When we made the decision to make our other work essential and to not reorganize existing dollars, we leaned on our philanthropic partners and said, hey, we want to build a fund for Indian country. Will you go in partnership with us? Can you help make this happen?
So far, the NDN Collective has raised more than $3 million. Their plan is to get to $10 million. For National Native News, I'm China Lockett in Rapid City.
And I'm Antonia Gonzalez.
National Native News is produced by Koahnic Broadcast Corporation with funding by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Support by the Sonosky Chambers Law Firm, championing tribal sovereignty and defending Native American rights since 1976, with offices in Washington, D.C., New Mexico, California, and Alaska.
Support by Ramona Farms, offering wholesome and delicious foods from our heirloom crops as our contribution to a better diet for the benefit of all people. We are honored to share our centuries-old farming and culinary traditions online at ramonafarms.com.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.